Today's topic is something that I became aware of approximately 5 years ago. And the first time this happened, it scared the daylights out of me. It's called Raynaud's disease. I'll step a little bit closer and share my screen so we have some more information. While I tell my story, Raynaud's disease is also called Raynaud syndrome or phenomenon, and it is pronounced Raynaud's. And I personally, like I said, I personally became aware of it approximately 5 years ago. I was working at an auto auction and I was out in what they call the barn. And I'd been there all day working outside. And when I came back in, I noticed that my hands were white. My fingers were white. And I'm like, okay, I know it's cold, but I didn't think it was that cold that I would have gotten frostbite. And it took 15, 20 minutes, and all of a sudden, my fingers started seeming like they were warming up. They had gone from white to blue, back to red. They were quite uncomfortable. And that was a scare. But I kind of blew it off thinking, oh, well, I guess my hands got too cold. Next time it happened, I thought I was going to lose my hands, or at least my fingers. They went white. They went blue, and it took a lot longer. What is Raynaud's? Well, according to the MedicineNet Medical Dictionary, it's a condition that results in the discoloration of skin on the fingers and the toes when a person is exposed to changes in temperature and emotional events. I was dealing with both. Raynaud's can be the primary, or it can be like a secondary and accompanying, and that can be to lupus, to rheumatoid arthritis. Also things like from using a machine that vibrates a lot. This disease does not only affect women, it also affects men. And it can also affect the ears, the nose, and the tongue. With Raynaud's, there are, and in conclusion on what causes it. As it says on the dictionary term, on the term, is that it's called from spasms of blood vessels. Other doctors have felt that it is because the blood is becoming thicker. And I've used and looked and read Johns Hopkins, their medical site. I've also been on the Mayo Clinic, and there is a doctor, Janet Pope, who has done extensive research, and I will get you to her screen on what some of the stuff that she's been doing. This is a picture of a hand that is having the first stage of Raynaud's. Now, Janet Pope's findings is as others, she says it's the spasms, and that it causes the big words for saying your hands go white and numb. And then the cyanosis, where because of lack of blood flow, there's lack of oxygen to that area and it turns blue. And there is pain. At times it can cause ulcerations, and sometimes they may have to end up being amputated. It varies from, it varies from sex to country. And a lot of times the primary it shows up when they're in their 30s. That is usually the time that it shows up, is the age, around the age of 30. I was in my 50s, and I was like, okay, well, my body thinks I'm 30, so hey, great. But there are children that actually have it. It can last anywhere from minutes to hours, and it's quite uncomfortable and becomes very frightening. And that's one thing that they leave out, is how frightening it is. This is from the APS Foundation, and it shows your normal hand, then the constriction of the small blood vessels, and it could be, again, where the blood becomes very thick, and where they go white from lack of blood flow, blue from lack of oxygen, and then red when the flow returns. And that is when a lot more of the pain starts coming on, because it's like pins and needles. If you've ever had your foot go numb and then it fell asleep, that's a small version of what it may feel like with Raynaud's. Here's the thermal image, and the thermal image demonstrates the loss, where you can see the fingers have turned green because there's no blood flow there whatsoever. Here's a picture of the two different stages. I personally have not gotten to such an extreme blue, but they have gone blue. Janet Pope, she is working on to find, a medicine that will work. Some think that beta blockers that are given for those who have blood pressure issues, that those might help. Others think that they will cause more issues. One thing that I have noticed, and this is why I agree with those who think that the blood becomes thicker, is for the last year, I have been on an aspirin treatment by my cardiologist. And I have noticed that through this last year, the Raynaud's has not been quite as bad. I seem to have more time where my hands are normal and they're not freezing and not numbing. One thing that a lot of doctors don't pick up on and have not talked about, whether it be from the Mayo Clinic or Johns Hopkins or Janet Pope, is that there are times when your hands look and may feel normal, or your feet, and all of a sudden it will be like somebody's just stabbing you with little pins, the pain. I get that mostly in my left foot and sometimes in my right hand. If you would like more information, here are some links that you can take a screenshot of, or if you want a copy, or let me know and I will send you those links. But this is something that it's very uncomfortable. There is no set treatment. When I talk to a doctor, he says, well, we could do surgery. That's where we go in and cauterize the blood vessels. I'm like, no, I need my hands. We're not going to do that. So my remedy is, there are little gadgets that like hand warmers that you can put in your gloves. There are various kinds of gloves, such as the fingerless gloves that I would use at work, where I could type. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. But these different avenues can help to relieve. And if your house is cold, I wear gloves. When I go out sometimes in the summer, it affects me then. And you might see me with gloves on. And that's what's going on, is I'm having an issue at the moment with the Raynauds. It is interesting and quite uncomfortable. And if anyone has any questions, I would be happy to answer them for you now. You can unmute and ask if you want to. No questions?
Hey, Dory, it's Laura.
Hi, Laura.
It's probably individualized in the symptoms, but how long do your symptoms last?
It varies from minutes to off and on for an hour or so. I have met people that the woman said that she just wears battery heated gloves all day because it lasts. I'm on a Facebook group that also has so many people on there, and one lady, her 12-year-old daughter has it, and it has caused her issues to where, you know, they've tried all kinds of medicines and nothing seems to be working. So it depends. For me personally, thank God it hasn't gone over an hour at a time, but it comes off and on during a day. And the discoloration for me is mostly in my hands. The feet just get the pain. Anyone else?
Dory?
Yes, Lori.
I'm curious with you how often this happens, and also if you've been able to pinpoint something that causes it to come on for you.
Yeah. Cold environment. Winters are not my favorite, but when I am extremely stressed, if I am having an extremely stressful time, you can almost bet that it's going to flare up. Yeah. Anyone else? No? All right. Well, again, if you would like more information, please let me know. And I thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, Dory.
Thank you.